Hello everyone. Today we are going to study about transpiration chapter part 2, 10th ICSE. We'll start today with a theory called as transpiration pull or cohesion tension theory. This theory deals with the development of negative pressure that lies in the xylem channels due to transpiration. This is the section that shows it. In this figure we see that this is the leaf and this is the xylem vessel, and there is a pressure that has been generated. This pressure is negative pressure, which is almost 10 to 20 atmospheres, which is because of the loss of water from the epidermis of the leaves. We can see that here the root hair is absorbing the water and the arrows show the water flow, and from here the xylem vessels conduct the water up and into the leaf. When the loss of water takes place, there is a tension that has been created. This tension is due to two types of forces: cohesion force and adhesion force. These two forces allow the negative pressure to be developed, which is almost 10 to 20 atmospheres, and due to these pressures the water column does not break. The cohesion force is similar force between water molecules, and adhesion force is dissimilar force between water molecules and the xylem channels. The transpiration pull theory was given by Dickson and Joly in 1894. This theory is also known as cohesion adhesion theory. This theory is important because it tells how the water rises up in very tall trees. There are several small plants. Monocot plants are very small, but these plants absorb the water with the help of root pressure or imbibition pull. But transpiration pull theory actually helps the water to conduct in very tall trees which are more than 100 feet. The rate of transpiration is affected by several factors. These factors can be grouped under external factors and internal factors. We'll first study the external factors. The important external factors which affect the rate of transpiration are light. Light is during the daytime, and it may be considered as one of the most important environmental factors because it plays an important role in causing the stomata to open. When the stomata opens, there is transpiration. Besides, the light also increases the temperature. So temperature is the second external factor. An increase in temperature increases the rate of evaporation of water and brings about a decrease in the relative humidity of the air, and thus increases the rate of transpiration. At extreme temperature, that is very high or very low temperature, the stomata closes, and thus there is a decline in the rate of transpiration. The third factor is humidity. Humidity of the atmosphere is directly related to the vapor pressure of the atmosphere. The rate of transpiration decreases with the increase in humidity. The fourth factor is wind. We can also call it as wind velocity. In quiet atmosphere, the water vapor often accumulates in the vicinity of the leaves. But when the leaves are exposed to winds of moderate velocity or high velocity, it leads to increased rate of transpiration. This extreme high velocity causes closure of stomata. Now we come to internal factors. Internal factors are those which are present inside the plant body. It may be the root shoot ratio. What is the root shoot ratio? It is actually the efficiency of the absorbing system, that is the roots, and the transpiring system, that is the shoot. It greatly influences the rate of transpiration. This is a big tree with the roots and the shoot. The root is quite dense and also the shoot area is quite big, and thus evaporation and transpiration from the atmosphere takes place, from the leaf surface takes place much into the atmosphere. The second is leaf area. The leaf surface area of a large leaf is, if it is more, then transpiration is more, and if the leaf surface area is less, the transpiration is less. The leaf anatomy also affects transpiration. The leaf anatomy of one plant differs from the other. There can be thick cuticle, sunken stomata, or there can be modification of leaves or presence of epidermal hair, etc. And thus these come under leaf anatomy, which may affect the rate of transpiration. Let us see certain adaptations in the plants which reduces transpiration. The first is sunken stomata. This is the sunken stomata in the Nerium plant. The stomata are sunken in a cavity. This is the epidermis, this is the lower epidermis, and you see that there is a big cavity, and in this cavity the stomata is sunken over here. When the stomata is such sunken, then and it is also covered by hair, then it reduces the rate of transpiration considerably. So one of the examples of such case is Nerium. Fewer number of stomata. The distribution of stomata also greatly reduces the transpiration. In some plants the stomata are few, and in some plants the stomata are more in number. The third factor or the third adaptation is the presence of narrow leaves. The leaves become narrower so as to reduce the surface area. This is seen usually in xerophytic plants. The lesser the width or the breadth of the leaf, the transpiration is lesser. In some cases, the leaves are totally absent. In most of the cacti, this is a cactus plant, the leaves remain absent altogether, or they may get modified into spines. These are the spines that are present, and this is actually the stem, or known as phylloclade, and there is no leaf as such. So absence of leaves also reduces transpiration. Thick cuticle. In evergreen plants like banyan tree, the leaves remain covered by thick waxy cuticle. This also reduces the rate of transpiration. We have been studying the loss of water in the form of water vapor. Now we are going to study about guttation and bleeding. Some plants may lose water directly from their body in liquid form and not as water vapor. So it occurs in two ways. The first is guttation and the second is bleeding. Whenever the plant exudes some water droplets from the margins of the leaves, it is called as guttation. This is a strawberry leaf which is showing guttation. You see the margin of the leaf, there are so many water droplets. This is not in the form of water vapor, but it is the pure form of water that is coming out from the margins of the leaves, which is usually seen in the early morning or late evening, and this is due to the process of guttation. This is the structure which actually tells about the specialized structure in a leaf called as hydathode. The hydathodes are also referred to as water pores. This is a water pore or a hydathode. The entire structure is known as hydathode, and the water actually is released from these structures only and from no other part of the leaf. So if the leaf has these water pores, then only the guttation process takes place. The hydathodes consist of an epidermal pore, and it has so many cells that are lined, and this is the xylem vessel. The xylem vessel is conducting water, and this water is released into these cells, which come then over here into the pore, and then the water is released in the form of water only and not in the form of water vapor. Guttation normally occurs in humid and warm environments. In this environment, the roots continue to absorb water from the soil. This builds a large hydrostatic pressure, also called as root pressure, within the plant, which forces out the excess of water directly from the tips of veins in the leaf. This water can be seen as droplets on the margins of leaf. So after guttation, we next come to bleeding. Whenever the plant is injured or there is a cut which occurs in the plant sap escapes from the ruptured or the injured cut surface of the plant. This phenomenon is termed as bleeding. This is also assisted by the root pressure generated by the plant. So guttation takes place from the margins of the leaves, and bleeding takes place from the cut surface of the plant. Earlier we have studied in transpiration part 1 that transpiration is a necessary evil, and transpiration is necessary because of the following roles that it plays in the life of a plant. The first is it helps in maintaining the cell turgidity. Transpiration helps in maintaining optimum turgidity of the plant, which is necessary for growth and development. It also brings the cooling effect on the plant body. The heat energy that is consumed in the evaporation of water causes cooling effect on the surface of the leaves. Thus, the temperature of the leaves does not rise to an undesirable level due to the transpiration. The third is conduction of water and minerals. Conduction of water is known as ascent of sap, and minerals is known as translocation, and the movement of water and dissolved minerals to the xylem and the phloem is both helped by the process of transpiration. Transpiration also helps in removal of excess water. The plants absorb far more amount of water than is actually used by the plants. Thus, transpiration helps in removal of excess of water from the plant body. So, let us study now the differences between the two processes, transpiration and guttation. Transpiration usually occurs during the daytime, but guttation occurs during the early hours in the morning or during the evening or night time. Water is lost in the form of water vapor, but in guttation the water is lost in the form of liquid form only. In transpiration, since the water is converted into water vapor, the form of water is very pure. The pure water is lost. But in guttation, along with the water, certain organic and inorganic substances are also lost from the margins of the leaves. Both the surfaces and the pore, that is stomata and lenticels, take part in transpiration. But in guttation, the special pores called as hydathodes only do the process. The transpiration reduces the temperature of transpiring surface and brings a cooling effect, but guttation does not perform any such function. Thank you.